Hey, I just wanted to pop in for a minute and talk about some of the things that we've been seeing and discussing. We're in the middle of a geomagnetic storm, and we knew that was coming from the coronal hole stream that was projected and predicted. And you notice that it isn't on my prediction charts, and there's a reason for that. We also had 3 6-point plus earthquakes in the last few days. Starting on the 3rd, we got a 6.9, and then a 6.3, and then a 6.1 on the 5th today. And I like to note that the 3rd was the first quarter moon cycle, and we've already established that that is one of the most powerful precipices for earthquake activity. So I didn't feel the need to go over that again, nor did I feel the need to put these things in the prediction chart, because the prediction chart is going to be for solar flares, M or higher, M class or higher. So that being said, I would want to talk a little bit about what is going on the ground. And first of all, we have our handy dandy map here that shows that 6.9 from September 4th. And if you look at the map, you will notice this waveform, right? So I went over the waveform and put the radians on it to see how it measured and what the pinpoints would be. I should also say, I've been trying to experiment with ways to present the predictions to make them more easily understood and specific to what they're predicting. And I did this chart on 30. When did I do this? I did this chart a few days ago, but I didn't post it because it was kind of ambiguous, right? What is that? But it got really weird when all of a sudden today I decided to put it over the little wave that we got here, and coincidentally and weirdly enough, look how well it fits. So my mind is a little blown with that right now, and I'll have to investigate it further to see why that worked, because that was 3 days and this prediction chart was for a month. So there's got to be something hiding in there. But then we look at the largest 20 quakes over the last 24 hours, and we can see our little analemma starting to shape up, and then a radian down in the corner, further substantiating evidence that the radian dispersal, the radian is the size, it's the shape that the wave releases the energy. Dispersal, that's the word, right? Dispersal. And you can see it here. They're all within these radians, and there's a size difference which shows of the circle itself, of the unit circle, which shows that there is a rippling effect. And then I put this interesting drawing over it that a friend of mine let me use a while back from Intuitive Geometry. Amazing geometer. Highly recommend. Love his work. Thanks for letting me use it, bro. Hope you're doing well. But as you can see, it shows a 3-dimensional waveform in space that's reflected, right? So one side is up and one side is down, and they're kind of a mirror inverse of each other. And then before we get to the next interesting part that relates to that, I just want to show you real quick these radians and then the secants, if you're having any doubt why these other large quakes exceeded the circumference of the unit circle that we were using to measure the radians. You can see that they are included in the secants, and that gets even weirder. Look at that shape, guys. Look at that. So we really like that. So now back to the 3-dimensional waveform that we see coming in the Earth. And like I said, we were using our prediction charts this month to predict sunspots right now, and solar flares. So we have today's magnetometer from SDO, and you can see the arrangement. They're in the squares. Sunspots to watch, they're in the squares. So I took those and overlaid them over the placements of those earthquakes, and one is the image as shown, and the other is inverted and flipped, just like in our square here. And it's amazing. Look how the sunspots sit on the quakes. And they did this without flaring. These sunspots aren't flaring. As a matter of fact, both bodies are exhibiting seismic activity, right? Helioseismic activity. I just posted something recently about that from Iris, but this is a long-standing field of study, and it's very useful to my work and to predicting things happening on the ground and on the surface of the sun. And it also lends credence to the idea that maybe there's a lot more going on beneath the surface of the sun, and what we're seeing is actually kind of atmospheric. That's a totally different show. We'll talk about that later. But for now, just sit in awe with me of the placement of these sunspots on the quakes, how near they are. It's amazing. So we did the predictions. The predictions are calling for, like, we did weeks, right? Because they're coming out in waves. So there's the 6th through the 11th, and then the 14th through the 16th, the 25th through the 28th, and that the Earth might be a little bit more reactive on the 19th and 23rd. Of course, we're still learning, and we're still gathering data, and we're learning new things all the time. So these things are apt to change, and I share them with you, and I share the path of the work, and I share the work itself so that we can see it transparently. We can all learn together. Sometimes people point me out on my mistakes, and sometimes I'm able to figure them out on my own. So that's all working beautifully. And I just wanted to pop in because I haven't said hello for a minute. I've been working on a lot of stuff, you guys. A lot of stuff. And I can't wait to share some of it with you. But for now, enjoy some of these beautiful picket fence and steves coming from Mackinac and Petoskey and other beautiful places in northern Michigan over the weekend, brought to us by this geomagnetic storm from the coronal hole stream. And keep in mind that we are going through the first quarter phase. It's now a waxing gibbous on its way to the full moon on the 10th. So just to highlight that lunar period and say thank you. We'll be in touch soon. Talk to you later.